Okay, so it seems like recently there's been a little bit of a situation going on with 39 Daph and Dokibird, right? And if you don't remember, obviously this is some stuff that happened a couple of years ago in terms of the whole Nijisanji situation and Dokibird being, Selen and everything that went on with that. And if you guys have been anywhere near VTubing news or drama, for the past couple of years, and you guys will know exactly what we're on about here. But essentially, yeah, there's been a little bit of a follow-up, I guess, or a little bit of a rehashing of this, which I think is a little bit weird considering how long it's been, where essentially, 39 Daph has left a long reply, and they say 39, this is from Rima saying 39 Daph addresses the claims that she made against Dokibird. I've never called her an attention seeker nor invalidated her mental well-being. Which, yeah, obviously we can have a look at the actual reply itself, which is over on here, and essentially say it's been a long time and I don't mind addressing this. I've never called her an attention seeker nor invalidated her mental well-being. You can check the chat logs yourself. I think it's absolutely fair to point out if you blanket accuse a group of people of harassment, the burden of proof lies on you, and when this proof is rejected by multiple parties of which it was presented to, heavily implicates there is much more to it. I also know for a fact that she/her manager had told QT Cinderella not to be seated next to me for a Streamer Awards event because I was someone who, as she inaccurately described, publicly humiliated and shamed her for her blank attempt, invalidating her mental illness and struggles when I had at the time questioned the validity of the hate train that ran on her previous colleagues, most of whom I barely knew, most of whom are probably under strict NDAs, and to not disclose any details. Now it's up to you to determine, am I fully lying, or was there some truth to both sides? Or is it not simply as clear as the drama YouTubers made it out to be? So yeah, obviously a lot of people have been pretty mad at this one because, again, it's pretty crazy that this is still being brought up to this day. Now, a lot of people have been mentioning the fact of, why would she do this? Why would she kind of talk about it now out of everything? And I think that some people were obviously missing the extra context that somebody was saying 39 called Dokibird an attention seeker for wanting to blank due to her friends bullying Dokibird. Daph gave you this, and obviously, yeah, so it's someone like going after Daph, but I'm gonna be honest, at the same time, although there is a reason as to why she did it, and it's not just a random post that she's posted, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably not the best idea to respond to, like, random 45, like, Twitter replies, right? I feel that's not a very good idea, especially as a bigger content creator, right? So again, I feel like this could have been avoided. But yeah, many people have been discussing it, because I do think it is a pretty crazy, especially, she also talks about the fact of the whole QT Cinderella thing and not being allowed to, or saying not to see her next to someone, sorry, not to see her next to her at the Streamer Awards, which I'm gonna be honest, I think it's fair enough, right? I don't think there's anything to be really mad about that, especially with a lot of the kind of past and, as a lot of people have been saying, saying that she was attention seeking, whatever, and it seems like she was just overly negative of Dokibird at the time, right? And I don't blame her for not wanting to sit next to someone who's been so negative towards her. Like, I mean, that's a pretty normal thing, I'm gonna be honest. I think that's pretty normal, and of course at the Stream Awards I'm sure there's many requests like this that go on. And also I do think it is a little bit weird with the whole QT Cinderella thing. Is she just going around and telling her friends like who doesn't want to sit next to who? Like, I feel like that's a little bit of an issue that maybe some people aren't talking about, in terms of, like, is QT Cinderella just like gossiping to her friends about, like, oh, this person didn't want to sit next to this person, which is, like, kind of weird and obviously breaks a lot of trust among streamers, especially whenever some of them want to keep it on the down low, right? But yeah, obviously this was the post that Rima had. She also put out the kind of chat logs as well. We're not going to go through all the chat logs. You guys can go and check it out. I'll probably leave a link down below. But again, this is all of the chat logs that, Daph was saying for people to check. And obviously there's a follow-up as well. There's a couple of follow-ups actually to this entire situation. A lot of people saying she's arguing stuff like she did 2 years ago. Yeesh. So many words and I'm out of coffee, so this sucks. As Zahara saying, I distinctly remember her saying some stuff and dismissing anything that Doki did because she was a Niji sister. Maybe she didn't say the exact words she quoted, but it's pretty damn close. And yeah, There's been some people as well that have been providing little rebuttals, especially on the Nijisanji subreddit, discussing this post, especially this one post, which I think a lot of people have been kind of upvoting. So they say, number one, Doki did not blanket accuse a group of people out of harassment. Doki stated that she was bullied, but Niji publicly exposed that this accusation was bullying from livers specifically. Obviously, stating that you were bullied by someone doesn't mean you were bullied by all. Doki never intended this accusation to go out publicly, hence the difference between her own statement and Niji EN's. It was never a blanket accusation. Because Doki never intended for these accusations against the livers to specifically go public, there's no need for the burden of proof, because the accusation was meant to be internal and private, and thus proof was internal and private and shared with management. The only parties to directly reject Doki's claims were in the Black Stream, which was a written company statement presented by Elira, Vox, and Ike, and thus doesn't fully capture the full responses of everyone involved, so every involved liver, and which is complicated by people like Ike apologizing for his participation in the stream and stated that he was misled by management in that stream. Number 5, Daph's closest friend in that company was Quinn, who also complained about the behavior of some of the livers, like Asta. We've covered a lot about Asta. You guys know a lot about him. 6, her logs are also full of inaccuracies, which show she didn't bother to learn the full details of the matter, both at the time and now years later. She's just dumb. And obviously, yeah, a lot of people saying, can't wait for people to think that she's spitting facts, even though she's blatantly lying again. Tell that to all the quotes that I can see and all the reposts. All of them are blocked, so it says enough. So I just went to check immediately and saw someone defending her. Nijisanji fans actually confirming again why I hate them. It's why I stopped being a fan, which obviously, yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. Perfectly written, thank you. Said I also saw someone on Twitter, mentioned that Daph is indirectly dragging Cutie Cinderella and the Stream Awards into the drama as well. Not like they don't already have enough of that. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's deserved. I think the backlash that the Streamer Awards have is deserved, right? Especially with a lot of the voting that we've discussed, especially to do with Dokibird as well. That's actually very, very interesting. Like, thinking about it now, whenever we've talked about Dokibird in the past in the Streamer Awards, we talked about how it was a little bit odd that she was left out of, like, Marvel Rivals streamer and things like that. And now we're hearing that, obviously, Daph and Cutie have been obviously talking about Dokibird not wanting to be anywhere near Daph. I mean, that makes it a little bit more suspicious to me, at least. I don't know. Maybe it means nothing. But to say, because it's a breach of trust to reveal that the reason that one streamer doesn't want to sit next to another, especially if Daph received a direct quote on this reason. 100% true. That's what I said earlier, right? It's so weird, the fact that Cutie Cinderella, and obviously they're saying, she's been dragged into it, but I'm going to be real. She is being dragged into it, but she's being dragged into it for good reason, right? Because I feel like it's a little bit sneaky for Cutie Cinderella to just be talking, behind people's backs about who doesn't like who and who doesn't want to sit next to who, when that's information that shouldn't really be shared. That's information that, whenever you're running an event like this, you don't share that to other people and gossip about it. But it seems like Cutie's been doing that in the background, right? And I do find that extremely weird. So yeah, Cutie telling Daph why it is such a shit thing to do. Have you not considered maybe the reality? Daph just assumed and lied, which obviously could be the case, but of course that would also tarnish any kind of reputation that she has with Cutie Cinderella. So it'd be interesting, right, to see if anything has come out about that. But yeah, of course, there's other replies as well. A lot of people saying in response to a Twitter user alluding to former Nijisanji liver Ike Evelyn's claim that he is misinformed and pressured into making decisions he would later regret. 39 Daph clarifies her position further. I don't know him and I don't keep up, but then do we also assume everyone else was also gaslit and misled, or should it be a case-by-case basis? I don't mind if you treat my having scrutiny it not being careful with excessive hate trains as slander or harassment, but it's incorrect to say I called her an attention seeker or made light of her blank attempt/mental illness, as the chat logs actually prove the opposite. In a previous reply, she responded to another user saying, yeah, I'm not really sure what they're getting at to immediately resort to insults when I'm clarifying my words, as proven by those receipts that I didn't lie when these people have stopped bringing it up. Yet the moment I say something, it's not okay. So yeah, obviously a lot of people have been discussing that as well, saying, do we believe everyone else was also gaslit, misled? Yeah. What kind of question even is that? Said, I haven't even thought about this person in a while now. Wasn't planning to give her any attention either. Still ain't. Which, yeah, I do think is pretty insane. Obviously, a lot of people call it a 39 IQ, which I guess, yeah, is pretty accurate, right? And yeah, I do think, it does come across as a little bit misinformed as well, saying, I don't know Ike Everland and I don't keep up. I mean, if you're going to be making comments about this kind of stuff, you kind of got to be in the know-how of, who Ike Everland is and his involvement within the Black Stream and, his later claims that he was like misinformed and pressured and whatever. But again, it seems like maybe she just doesn't really do enough research on this, which again, I think maybe is, her fault. So more follow-up as well. 39 Daph added more. If she did file these documents in which she had to prove harassment, but it was disagreed by multiple parties, wouldn't thus showing those files clear up the air or what actually constitutes as a justified perception of harassment? I also find that while I'm sorry she had to go through a lot of mental turmoil, which understandably elicits empathy from many people, what's to say that the other members didn't have to go through the same and were having similar dark thoughts enduring months of heavy dogpiling? After some back and forth with this user 39 Daph adds, I don't think this conversation will go anywhere because you speak as vaguely as I speak concisely, and later on reiterates that she never justified bullying and that her main point was always to be that should be solid proof before people run off to speculate and harass multiple people en masse for months. Which again, I think is pretty interesting, right? Like you're saying, you speak as vaguely as I speak concisely. I said, brother, anyone that speaks that way basically out themselves for what they really are. We all see it, but psychos can't see themselves in the mirror. What an unlikable bloke. I said, Daph sucks. Which again, obviously a lot of people not happy with that, right? A lot of people saying you also literally advocated for Niji to leak her legal documents public. I've read the logs. Maybe you should never have called her an attention seeker. You're 100%, sorry, maybe you never called her an attention seeker. You 100% dismissed her attempt. You advocated for her to be re-traumatized in the public square. They say, shrug, I think she's screwed whenever it comes down the line. It'll come out in time. Anyways, but it's also stronger to drop it as a whole. And they're hesitant because it contains private info. They definitely should, Anna. But I think they're just taking their time. They can show it regardless. They can show it regardless case goes through or not. I hope they do show it. That's the thing. I don't know. So again, yeah, it's a little bit confusing, right? Because of course, maybe one response to, a comment, saying stuff about her, I think is understandable in terms of like the reply that she gave and whatever, and as to why she actually gave that reply. But it seems like she keeps going on and on and on about it, even after this, and it is a little bit odd, right? I think at the end of the day, Twitter is always going to Twitter, right? And people are always going to, say things about you, whether it's true or not. That's, up to you. But I'm going to be real, I don't think you really needed to respond to a random Twitter user with 45 likes, right? Like, how many followers do they have? Are they a really big YouTuber or so? They got 46 followers. And they're a caffeine addict, apparently. Well, same. And a #1 Annie's fan. Same. But again, I think that, I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think all of this, kind of bringing it up now, responding to random Twitter people and just kind of, rehashing this drama once again, when you've already caused enough, damage and whatever, as you can see. I just think it's a bit unnecessary, right? And I think a lot of people find it unnecessary and are pretty mad that this is going on, right? So yeah, that is essentially all there is for this situation. Just kind of want to keep you guys up to date with that. And yeah, it seems like this just keeps on continuing, even years down the line. But that's all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kazo, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.